Hello, fellow disc golf enthusiasts from around the world, and welcome back to MDG Media. We are excited to be bringing you Round 1 Back 9 MPO feature card coverage of the 2024 Copenhagen Open. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers? Nice to be here once again. Back for the back 9. A very scoreable 9, and all of our players hoping to score as well as possible, as we did see some slower starts on the front, but luckily for them, you can get just as many birdies as you set your mind to on this back.
We can see some players already in the clubhouse with some great scores, even -8, -9 on the books, but our feature card through the front 9, Mauri Villmann at 4 under, Gregg at 3 behind him, Niklas and Hjalte both currently at even. A little bit of a slow start considering the expectations of those players, but a lot of golf left to play and a scoreable back 9.
And the scoring has to start already on this hole number 10. 111 meters, relatively open. There is only these 2 trees on the left that are in the middle of the fairway, and then you have an early tree on the right side. Most of the players going between those 2 obstacles, trying to skip their way with a slightly overstable disc at the end under the very late branches. There is also a big hyzer play if you want to go around everything.
Hjalte might choose that tomorrow. Chose to go down the inside line and catches the branches. Surprisingly common outcome, unfortunately, despite that tree being very close. Mauri here, a lot of snap out of his hand on this one. This green really offers little to no skips. He finds that short one absolutely parked.
Yeah, that's a good one there. Challenging the ceiling even. That's kind of what you have to do if you want to be parked. As Connor said, not that many skips. There is even a forehand route on this hole, but not really surprised to not see any of these players going for that one. As Niklas has hit the last tree just in front of the basket, and he's in danger of keeping his slow round very slow.
Gregg has this really high. He's going to be contending with these branches late in the green. Yeah, and as a result, doesn't push all the way, but will be just outside the circle. Certainly a birdie chance. We go to Hjalte, who's going to fire off a long spin putt to push under the low ceiling, and will be likely collecting his par, left with that short putt.
Par is the most common score here. 67% of the field getting a par. Niklas, Hjalte being 2 of those most likely. 30% birdie, so only 3% bogey. Not a very challenging hole as far as bogey potential. As Gregg there, he's going to be a little bit disappointed with his effort from circle 2, just cleaning up the par.
Yeah, I think on the green, certainly one of the strongest parts of Gregg's game. Niklas as well, going to be cleaning up the par alongside Hjalte. And Mauri walking to his tap-in birdie, beginning to separate now a little bit from his card with that 2-stroke lead over Gregg. And 5 under through 10, certainly pushing the pace of already completed rounds, managing 8 or 9 under at the highest level so far. A demanding hole 11. You see here off the tee, this 130-meter par 4 has a tight tunnel off the first shot. This triple mando, newly introduced this year, making the gap available even tighter as you see just how many trees you need to beat. Anything that can give yourself an open look to the green is a fantastic tee shot. You have these late guardians, the basket tucked away in the center between them. Really, if you're looking to birdie, the first shot is so important to both make it through the mando, but also make as much forward progress as you can to open up the angle to the green. Mauri going to be pushing this forehand hyzer flip.
And he looks to have gone on the wrong side of the mando. He will have to go to a drop zone that is just short of the mando and almost an impossible par save. So really the mando miss is a costly mistake here. Hjalte correcting on that, going with a very hard thrown, slightly overstable driver, And even though he hit some trees there, it's only about 50 meters left from that position and should be a pretty easy pitch up, at least within putting distance.
Niklas opting for a straight thrown backhand, hits the Mando purely, and despite not completing its flight, I think still in actually quite an okay position to try for the green. Anywhere near the edge of the tree line after the triple Mando will give you a reasonable look. Gregg playing the forehand as well, and I believe did make the Mando, although got shut down pretty quickly. Mauri going to shape a steep hyzer, trying to get the skip, but gets caught up.
Yeah, so tricky from this drop zone. And looked like Gregg also did miss the Mando, trying to go with a very tight forehand cut roller. That was a pretty phenomenal shot, able to get within circle 2. He still might have a chance to save the par, which would be almost unheard of from that drop zone.
Yeah, and a great creativity there to shape the shot that's needed. Niklas, fantastic execution on that soft Anheuser bid. Perfect speed control. You see it dropping into the bullseye. Mauri, look at his placement off the tee shot.
Yeah, couldn't be much easier on the approach. Although he puts too much power on it, he will now have to earn it from 11.5 meters. It's pretty fast green, and you want to get there in air because, you know, if you're trying to skip your way into the green, you have some of those roots that can kill the skip or even throw your disc into a wrong direction.
Gregg, a long look to save par after missing the Mando. Finds the medal. I think for a second he thought he might have had it. But high expectations there to make that difficult putt. Mauri is well left with an awkward angle. He too finds the cage, but no more.
And Hjalte there with the only birdie of the group. A couple of the guys even getting bogeys here.
Even a double found for Mauri there. With that extra danger of the OB long on the approach. Hole 11, certainly a difficult one. We'll move to hole 12. Elias, tell us about it.
Yeah, hole 12, also one of the more difficult birdies you can get. Or at least that's how it feels on the tee. You know, you have this very tight gap off the tee. Some players are opting to go all the way over and around to the left. It's really whatever shot can get you to the middle of the field, from where you have most likely a blind forehand hyzer or a blind turnover, depending on the player. The approach is really not that difficult. You just need a nice overstable disc on that forehand, but the drive, this gap is really tight.
Yeah, I think on camera it might look like an open window, but when you're standing on that tee in person, it is very low to the ground, extremely low ceiling, and very narrow in width, probably about 30 or so meters off the tee. That gap starts. Niklas there a little bit high from the hand, but really fortunate to fight through into an almost perfect position. I think didn't hit his line exactly, but fantastic result.
Yeah, both of those shots are, you know, in position that any player in the field would accept any day of the week. And Gregg looking to hit a nice drive as well, a little bit lower, not quite getting the forward push, and he will have that blind forehand approach, as you so often have on this hole.
Mauri as well pushes the ceiling, but even finds that late skip quite uncommon. Might have even gone a bit too straight there. Going to be slightly within the rough's edge. We go to Gregg here looking to shape a big forehand. What's important here is that he doesn't swing in too early to the right side, and he's delayed that spike to perfection, rolling even at the end towards the pin. Really great execution from a slightly awkward position. We'll see Niklas show us the backhand line to the green.
Yeah, Niklas going with a putter there. Not happy with the shot. He pulled it a little bit right, And now he's gonna have an outside the circle look for it. Not exactly what you want, being in perfect position off the tee. And talking about perfect, that's exactly what Hjalte's position is, though this is what you were talking about, fading a little bit early. And a great kick. He was about to find his way in the woods, you know, or in the bushes. Would have had a difficult putt, but now he will have just a tap in.
Mauri as well, stalling out a bit too early. You saw he did not have the most natural opening there out of the rough, and unfortunately that's left him now in the other side, even just a few meters into these bushes, and you have little to no look, so good on him being able to simply pitch out. Niklas, Anttila, smooth delivery from circle 2. What a birdie.
Really well done there. Building on the couple of birdies that he's had in the last 3 holes. Trying to hopefully find some more luck on the back than he had on the front. And good birdie from Hjalte as well. You know, it's not a hole that you can take for granted just because of the gap off the tee.
And we'll see these short putts here. Hole 12 as a par 4 average, 3.84, 28% of the field finding the birdie.
We are here. We are one. We will fight. We will fall. We will prevail. From the fjords of Norway to the shores of Spain, from the fire of Iceland to the hope of Ukraine, 30 countries, one voice. Go Europe.
Here we see hole 13, a 75-meter par 3 tunnel shot effectively, although you're not forced between these two trees. A lot of players will opt for a flip-up shot, hopefully ending softly to the right. Shapes nicely for the forehand. That green sloping both downhill as well as right to left comes into play very quickly. That road on the left marking OB. The most important thing here is to control your speed and try to end on the green. You can play a backhand putter, you can go with a forehand over stable shot, you can flex it down the middle, play a pure hyzer on the forehand as well. This is a pick your shot and disc situation. Many would consider this overstable forehand to the left side the most safe play, ensuring that you end right away from the OB, and Hjalte's just inside the circle there for his birdie.
Yeah, not a bad result there. I expect Niklas to go straight at it with a slower disc. Probably gonna go with slight flex. Pretty severe anhyzer actually. He needs to slow down before the OB there. And just barely does. He's also gonna be at that 9.5 meter range. Very makeable, but really it's a hole that you would love to be a little bit closer on, as it is incredibly easy compared to a lot of holes we play on tour, averaging over a half a stroke below par.
Gregg with that nice direct flex line right down the middle as well. We will see which line Mauri opts for. Playing something not as overstable, getting it up to flat, and he too comes in. You see, even with that slow delivery, his disc getting a lot of ground play on that hard-packed earth. We have Hjalte up first on the green. Just late out of the hand. He's left with a little tester on the comeback. We see Niklas.
To capitalize on the hole, and that's well done there, just barely getting it over the rim. He's gonna be happy to see that fall in the basket, not gonna be losing more strokes to the field. And Hjalte here from 8 meters. Nice comebacker there.
Very confident putting stroke from Mauri, and I think certainly a player with all of the skills. Extremely comfortable on the forehand, backhand, and the green. When he's on, really a great player to watch. Gregg, simple putt left for his birdie.
Yeah, well done there by the card. 3 birdies, kind of to be expected on that easy hole. Hole number 14. Not quite as easy, but still a hole that you would like to birdie. As really any hole on this course, there really aren't that many too difficult holes. On this hole you just need to hit the gap of the tee and glide as far forward as you can. Really anywhere in the open field is gonna be okay. A lot of the times the approach is a blind spike hyzer over the trees. You can also see some special shots, some grenades, sometimes some overhands. But really just hit the gap of the tee, fly straight and throw a spike hyzer, hopefully crash into the circle.
And we see Niklas picking up some momentum now. 3 birdies through the last 3 holes, 4 out of the last 5 after what we called a slow front 9. He is really now finding his stride and putting it all together. Solid shot off the tee. We go to Gregg, getting a little bit more anhyzer out of the hand, finding that late stability. However, he skips into an ideal spot.
Yep, well done there. Really doesn't matter that much where you are on this fairway, as long as you're not pinched into a tree, or if you fly far but you're on that right side of the fairway, you can find some low ceiling approaches, which is not ideal for the spike hyzer. But all 3 of those guys are going to be in good position there. And then from there it's all about just judging that distance and judging the line where you really want to throw it.
I would totally agree. Going too straight is one of the only potential mistakes, although alongside those early trees, Hjalte obstructed, has a look to the green. This is going to be an aggressive spiking hyzer. What's important here is if he can time the fade to fall between the trees rather than into them. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Hjalte probably having more rounds on this course than a lot of the other players, as he's from Denmark. Gregg here, potentially for the first time, trying to get over the trees. Still well done, not going too far past. He's gonna have a slightly obstructed putt with the branches. And Niklas to try and go 4 birdies in a row. That would be a great pace for him to go into the last holes on the front, and looks like he will be able to do it.
And these guys are pinpoint, really speaks to their course awareness here, finding that very narrow green.
And well done there from Mauri. Everybody here putting for the birdie. Gregg first, good hit. And we're potentially looking at a star frame on this hole.
Let's go, Gregg. That'll get the Barsbarians at home out of their seats. Very solid. You see from Hjalte as well, collecting the birdie.
And I think even though this hole, it's definitely not a gimme. It's kind of in the middle as far as difficulty on the holes of this course. But I think the course as a whole, it has some interesting pressure on the players, as you need to get so many birdies on this course to stay competitive. And a lot of the holes are not that bogeyable. It's, it's a different pressure than playing on a difficult course.
I would agree, and for players of this caliber, it often comes down to their putting. A lot of them will find themselves in circle 1 or 2. On the majority of holes, it's just about collecting those opportunities and translating them to birdies. Our players will try to do just that here on hole 15, a 118-meter par 3 with the late tunnel. Players will likely be flipping something up to flat and trying to have it land softly. I'd say the most difficult thing to achieve here on this hole is landing flat at the end of a long flight. A lot of players towards the end will finish left or right, dragging them away from the basket. Niklas shaping a soft flex down the middle. So smooth, looking almost effortless for him. Pin high, 118 meters, just a little bit left of the basket. Really well done.
Yeah, that's the shot for Niklas. You can see him so often on more wooded courses throwing the same exact shot. I'm sure he's very comfortable with the line here. Gregg going with a much higher flip up, taking up more room on the fairway, and you can see those bushes collecting the disc very quickly. Good on him for not going into the bushes, because if you go inside either the left or the right side, the bushes are very thick.
Yeah, particularly with the Copenhagen Open starting a little bit later this year than historically in previous years. Spring is full on now already in May, and the rough is only getting thicker day by day. We see Hjalte now getting this high and on the right side. If it can push straight and then fade left, he will be absolutely parked in the bullseye, making this hole look just super light for him. Really great angle control on display there.
Yeah, well done by Hjalte. I think by the flight it looked like he might have even been throwing a mid-range on this hole, which is a great showcase of his power, as Mauri has hit a good one from outside the circle. Feel like his outside the circle putting has kind of not been, showcased this round, but good on him to get that one.
I would agree. If you watched Mauri play last year, you know that he is that guy, able to make those long putts under pressure. Niklas as well, although he was left with only a short one, has put 5 together in a row now, continuing to storm ahead in this back nine. Hjalte with the tap in. Overall, really well done to get 3 out of 4 birdies here on 15 by our feature card.
Open champion, Copenhagen!
And moving on to hole number 16, another very birdieable hole on the back. Although this one has some challenge. You have the gap of the tee very early, and it's a tight gap. It's no more than maybe 3 meters wide. If you hit the gap, you're going to be in the open and you're going to have a relatively easy approach to this green. Really the only difficulty on the green is the little right to left slope on the backside of the green. So you want to land something either with a forehand hyzer that's going to skip against the hill, or if you're going backhand, you want to control the angle to not skip too far down.
Niklas off the box. Really well done. Hits the gap cleanly, pushes to that hillside. That's about 100, maybe just over, so he'll be left with about 70 into the green. I think quite an ideal outcome. Mauri finding the ever so common trees in the initial gap that takes birdie out of play, and likely just going to be trying to find his 4 now. Hjalte with a really overstable looking shot there, but more than enough to fight his way through and out into the fairway.
Yep, well done there. And that's one thing about this hole that I find interesting is what is the disc choice for the players. You can really throw anything from a slower mid-range to an overstable distance driver. As we see Gregg missing the gap, but he makes it somehow out of there with a huge bounce. And he still has a chance for the birdie, I believe.
Solid stuff by Mauri to get progress up the fairway from that position. We'll see how aggressive Gregg gets. I think he's still at least 120 from the pin. But this is a nice looking distance line. It's a little bit high, going to fade left down the hill. However, that's a look. Certainly that's a long look up the hill. He can give that a safe bid. He likes that high release putt as well. Should play to his favor. We see Niklas now.
Niklas with just an overstable approach disc there. Great angle control. Not going to skip too much, even with the hillside. And that's going to be his 6th birdie in a row, most likely. He's really picking up the pace on the back.
Hjalte playing the forehand, going to counteract the slope of the hill, and does slow down very nicely inside the circle. He'll be left with about 7 meters for his birdie putt. Mauri having to choose between either side of that bush. Opts for the forehand hyzer, comes up a bit short. He'll be putting downhill, but he's stone cold on some of these more dangerous putts. We go to Gregg.
And Gregg still not getting that circle 2 putt with the signature jump putt. Hjalte going... That was either a very quick cut on the edit, or he was going surprisingly fast. Usually a player that takes his full, almost his full 30 seconds on the putts. And Mauri there, good save for the par.
And you mentioned it, Niklas. Now look at that scorecard. Incredible momentum that he's carrying with him right now. And good comebacker for Hjalte. He is certainly a very routine-oriented player on both the throw and the putt. Potentially rushing that first one. It was not a give-me, though. 6 or 7 slightly uphill. However, all of these players now well under par as we go into the final holes. We see 17, an 89-meter par 3. The pin has been moved a little bit to the left this year compared to previous years and placed atop this mound. You will see OB to the left side of the green coming into play pretty quickly. A lot of players are going to be playing a high spiking hyzer, trying to crash it into the ground and find themselves with a short putt. Also, the tallest flag I've ever seen in my life on a basket.
Yeah, the flag is just insanely tall. You can even see it all the way from the tee. And even though the tee pad is probably at least 5 meters, above the basket with the tree line covering the entirety. So Mauri from under the tree, a tricky run, would be a good place even for a layup, but he's going for it and almost making it, just splashing through the left side chains. Really respectable effort.
Yeah, it looked very healthy. If anything, just a bit to the left side, but you can see the benefit of having slightly closer drive, more stress-free putts. Hjalte with another unfortunate splash out from short distance.
Yeah, I feel like Hjalte's miss today has been that right side. He's been pulling it a little bit to the right. A lot of those circle 1 putts.
Excited to see if Anttila can close out on this incredible birdie streak he's put together. Elias, tell us about this huge hole 18.
Yeah, really interesting hole. Off the tee, you really don't need a lot of distance. Just put it straight and in bounds. Don't need to fade too far towards the left side OB. Then we're flying over the OB. On the second shot, that's the shot where you need to get as much distance as you can. Just rip a driver out there to the fairway. And if you have a good second shot, you might have anywhere between 80 to 110 meters left to the basket. The approach is the most difficult part about this hole. You need to control your speed as there is OB very close on the long side.
Certainly, I think this first shot, you don't want to go more than 80, maximum 90 meters. Anywhere near that tee pad there, which is not in play this tournament, but is in the standard layout, is a great spot to be. Niklas playing that one angle hyzer, I like that as well to control exactly that distance that we touched on.
And Gregg with a similar shot, although going a little bit further. he might have to go with a backhand hyzer around the tree that you saw on the screen. You know, it's some players play to go beyond that tee pad, but I think the best angle on the hole is if you're short of that tee pad.
Big skip for Mauri. He finds both the tee pad and the tree. I think was fortunate to kick a little bit out to the front side of it, so those low-hanging limbs come less into play. Hjalte with a lot of height is going to be pushing this left side OB line, but that's an ideal spot. If we're being honest, he took on a lot of risk, but being even in front of the tree opens up the shot the best. Gregg forced to that huge hyzer, as you mentioned, but looking good, making sure he finds the stability that is center fairway.
Yeah, that's a good hyzer shot, but really the problem with the hyzer is that you're not going to get as much distance as with this straight flip-up shot that Niklas is going for. And even though Niklas is fading out further to the left, he got well more distance than Gregg did. And, you know, having a lot of distance for the third shot is not going to be ideal, as you need some good touch on that green.
Totally agree. We have Mauri finding a little bit of trouble here, overturning his forehand. We go first to Hjalte, though, still yet to cross the OB river, and he is wide open for a smash. This is turned.
What a smash.
This is flying, man. Wow. He certainly did it.
Yeah, that's a lot of distance on the second shot. I'm interested to see how his angle is from there, as he's going to have some trees to contend with. Mauri here trying to go for a huge forehand hyzer, but a little bit high up in the air. And he will likely have to settle for a bogey from there.
Gregg also playing the forehand a similar width, but much more nose down and a lot more forwards pushing. He gets that final skip up into the green. He'll have a look for his birdie up at the elevated basket. We go to Niklas here. An important shot if he wants to retain this incredible birdie streak here. Getting that slow drifting anhyzer, the late stability kicking in just outside the circle. That is certainly within his range. Solid shot.
Yeah, nice shot, although that's going to be a scary putt with a fast. You know, it's a flat green, but with that elevated basket and the fast ground play, some of those outside circle putts are going to be scary. And Hjalte there, just 5 meters left for the birdie. He's not going to be happy with the round, but at least he did good on the back.
Mauri, that height suggests to me he even wanted to give that a soft bid. We go to Niklas to end out his round and his incredible birdie streak. The man has not thrown a bad shot in the back nine. Incredible composure after a tough front nine for him to put it together and end at 8 under for the round. Spectacular.
And Hjalte there, good finish with the birdie. You know, 5 under is still in the mix. He's not going to be near the top positions, as the tournament is very tight around that, you know, 9, 10, 9, 8 under range. But he has good opportunity to make his way up the leaderboard in the future. And really everybody in the round still staying well in the mix.
Certainly. Some great conditions for scoring this weekend, and we see some names at the top. Paul Ulibarri, Daniel Davidson, Jakob Semmerad at 10 under. Tied in fourth, a series of names at 9. And we can see our lead card, as you mentioned, certainly still in play. Niklas at 8 under, Gregg at 6, Mauri and Hjalte at 5. What an exciting back 9 and first round to this prestigious event. Elias, thank you for joining me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Connor, so much. And thank you guys for watching the content. Hope to see you all in round number 2 when we cover the lead card.